Right. Hello, everybody. Look, it's Rena and I. And we are talking. Oh, it's such a good title, isn't it? It is.
It's
It's,
my favorite.
it's Google's secret plan for local business owners. So we're talking about local SEO and Google business profile. Originally, Google My Business, which I used to say Google My Business, but you can't really say that now because
No,
Google
they
Business
keep,
Profile.
yeah, and they've rebranded that so many times. It's so hard to keep on top of what it's called.
Yes, it's a little crazy, but we have lots to talk about because we're both experts in this area, which is super fun. Because who doesn't
Yeah,
want
it's
to talk about
great. But
Google?
also, not only are we both working it, we work it from two different ways. So we actually learned quite a bit from each other over the last couple of days just discussing this. So that's also super fun because, of course, Pip comes at it from an SEO perspective, and I come at it from a social perspective, and we both get pretty decent results from it.
And isn't it exciting that there's a tool out there that, I mean, because when we sell it, we'll do an add-on of posting over to Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. However, that's not our primary focus, right? Because
Right.
we're search focused.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. We include Google Business Profile
The other way,
in our social packages because it's just another place to post what you're already posting everywhere else, and it just is remarkable in its results.
right? It is. I'm gonna go look for us online to make sure I can see us in the group. Um, but along with that, Rena and I were just going to talk kind of stories today and go into a little detail because the reality is that we know some secret sauce.
And it's super fun watching the results in Google Analytics. I'm honestly so the reason why I got interested in this is started doing some posting for a client.
Damn, I thought it
Uh,
was.
Sorry.
I said, damn, I thought it was because of me. No.
Well, yes, you continued you continued my interest for sure. But to start off with, we started posting in that space just because the space became available, and physically, it's a gorgeous space. So, if you know your Google listing, which used to be called Google My Business, which I will inevitably call it that at some point during this talk, um, if you search for your own company name and you've got your listing already organized, you'll know that you have a big box on the right hand side of Google search, and that's what we're talking about, that space and how to organize that space. So sometimes that space just is already there, and you can go in and grab it. You can go in and prove that you own that and get it all verified, and then have control. Sometimes it's not there for you because Google doesn't know your business exists and it hasn't automatically created a page for you. So you can go in and create that by heading over to, I think it's like, if you search Google Business Profile in Google, you click the first link and it will walk you through the process. So we had a couple of things that we wanted to talk to, but I wanted to tell the quick story of how I got interested in. So I started posting for us because at the bottom of that listing, you'll see there are, as soon as you start posting there, you get like a good big chunk of your blog article or whatever article it is that you're sharing in your space, visual. So it's like this extra piece of real estate that you get to own and occupy and put photos there, like link previews work really well. And then those link back to your website. So it's just this extra piece of real estate. So I'm all about grabbing those extra pieces of real estate that you can have for free. And so I started doing that for a
Wait,
client.
wait,
One
I'm going
client,
to stop you for a sec. Say hi
sorry.
to Nikki. Say hi to Nikki.
Oh, hey, Nikki. Yay. Right on.
Hi, Nikki.
Um, so when you grab that real estate and you start posting on there, the thing that I noticed with this one client in particular, he was not on an ad package with me. And I always panic a little bit about that because without ads, it's very hard to get real results, tangible conversions for people just using content marketing alone. Content marketing should feed into your SEO strategy and your lead generation strategy. If it's just about, if you're working with someone who's only producing content and putting that content out, then it's not super effective. So started posting there with my usual content stuff. And oh my goodness, we had, over the next 6 months, we had between 17% was the lowest, up to 25, just over 25% as the highest. Um, 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 Traffic increase in traffic to the website, organic traffic. And that traffic, it wasn't just traffic, because we don't really talk that much about traffic increases. It can be helpful, it's not always helpful, because it's about the quality of traffic. But all of those people that we were sending through those posts on Google, um, sharing those blog posts, um, they stayed on the site for increased, decreased the bounce rate, increased the time on the site, and increased your page views, which is exactly what you want, right? Those are things that are going to lead to conversions and lead to growing your audience and all of those nice things that we want to do. So that's how I got interested in, and then I just, we're totally into following Pip's lead on the local SEO. So Pip, do you have like the story of what got you so interested?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, it's a good story too. I do have to apologize. I am a little bit sleepy because if you know, then you know. But we have 10 puppies that are like this big, and they seem to like to keep me up at night or so. Anyway, so a little slower than usual, but yeah, my story. So we were doing just Google My Business as something we offer in SEO, because for local SEO it's super important. And I train on it, and so I'm always paying attention to it. And we got this client who found me in a social media group. They were looking for like an ads person or an SEO person, and so we did an audit and a strategy, and then they said basically, can you just do it? We're like, yeah. And so we came up with a plan, and the plan was to utilize Google My Business, and also do like a drip strategy, so posting weekly, having images weekly. And so this woman, when we met her, she was number 2 or 3 in her market as a real estate agent. She's now the top in her market. So she got so busy, and it wasn't just us, it was a combined effort between the business owner and us. And she has become so busy, she opened her own brokerage. Like, it's just such a win. And
Yeah,
so we're implementing this strategy we do across, and
yeah,
and we're utilizing it, like we use social, and we're really trying to integrate it into our own marketing, all our clients marketing, because it helps. It's feeding the beast, right?
yeah, yeah.
So it's there's so much to do in there, and there is a lot to know, but it's also pretty easy. Like,
Yeah, I was really surprised. They kind of grew it from sort of the idea of having one flat page that you can put in some keywords and your business information, and then just they built it out, and there's so many aspects. So maybe we should go through the aspects
well, we
of the
should, but we should also talk, because I know people want to know the secret, which we're not sharing till the end, but we are sharing it. But so there's something that's happening on Google, that's really important. So first thing to know is that at least 40% of your traffic always comes from search.
Yeah,
No matter what, it will always bring the most of your traffic. So knowing that's important. And the other thing is zero-click attribution. Google
yeah,
is making it so we don't have to click. As a user, it's better for us if I don't have to go into something. I can get my results, what I need, right on the page. But that affects our business owners,
yeah.
right? Go on. Oh,
Hang on 1 second. We got a question here, and I just really, it's probably me that messed up on the naming. So there was a name change, but it didn't go from, it didn't go from Google Business Profile to Google My Business. It was Google My Business. It is now Google Business
Oh,
Profile.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I knew I was going to do that at some point. So sorry. Carry on, Pip.
You know, some people are actually still saying Google My Business because that's what's ranking. And
Yes.
the changeover, you know, everybody's used to Google My Business. Google My Business is great. Actually, you can just type in my business. Oh, zero click attribution. What is zero click attribution? You don't have to click into anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You go to the search engine and you find exactly what you're looking for, and then you go away and you've read your definition or you found your research, or so it just means that Google's making it so you don't have to click into sites. If the best example I think is the movie carousel at the top of the page when you search movies. You used to
Yeah.
go into the website. Now you can find your movie and then search it on Netflix, right? Um,
Yeah.
so because of that, and the reason there is no zero click attribution, or my belief, is because Google and Facebook, they're like siblings. And so they're always jealous of one another. And Google's a little bit jelly of Facebook, because when people go to Facebook, they stay there. When people go to Google, they leave, right?
Yeah.
So Google's trying to get you to stay longer on the page. Now, why we tell you this is because the tool to use to combat that, to make your site still relevant, is Google My Business, or
Yes.
Google Business Profile. So,
Yes. Yes.
right? So now we can go. So there's that. So if you utilize Google Business Profile to connect to your website, technically it could be considered link building. No, no, you
Yes.
are linking
Yes.
to your site. So
Yes.
it's so fun. And so Rena, you were going to go into talking about posts and info and reviews.
Yeah.
Give her.
Yeah. So the one thing that I see most businesses still do is they don't update their information and utilize and fill in all of the fields. So I usually go on and check mine monthly because Google is always adding things that they don't, and they don't always send you a notification to tell you that something's new. And the other thing is this notion of user generated content. So I don't know if you've ever gotten these little um, issues where you go and you visit your profile, and then they've got this kind of like slashes through all of your open hours, and somebody's put something else in that's not quite right. Sometimes users are asked to generate the information. So Google will send questions to people who have just visited or just visited your establishment or however it works,
Oh yeah, the local
and it's not
guide.
correct. Yeah, the local guide. So it's not correct. So you need to make sure that you're the one that's giving Google all of the correct information and saying, no, 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 Google, this person doesn't know what they're talking about,
Mm.
and making sure that that's up to date and correct. Um, and then I realized that just recently they've added this whole section on business owner, how they identify. So if they're trying to sort of um, pump into that area that your dollars mean something. So if you're like
The
um,
attributes.
yeah, so if you're like a woman, if it's a woman-owned business or a POC business, or if you're wheelchair accessible, you really want all of that stuff listed because lots of people are actually looking for that information before they get to you, and that helps them make decisions on how they want to spend their money. So that's always really good. And then the third thing that so make sure it's all filled out, everything, and lots of max out all the words because, of course, you want all your keywords in there.
But
And
don't word stuff.
no, no, write out sentences to describe who you are, but just make sure that your keywords are actually in those sentences. You're not using pronouns. Use the actual noun. That'll be really helpful. And then the next part of it is reviews. So, we want to have a review system in place where we're asking for our reviews from our clients. That's one thing. And lots of people have that in place. But here's the catch. you're going to do better if you actually respond to those reviews. It's super important. Google wants the business owner to be active in that process. So don't just collect reviews, you need to respond to them. And that also helps. Like if you get a review that's not particularly great, there are ways to respond to it so that people can see that you're engaged, you want to make things right. Or you also get an opportunity to you know, correct facts, in that space, right? That's another way of
Yeah.
handling some things.
How many of us have gone over to Google? Because it is literally the second place you look when you find a business. You see those reviews, you click on them. You know, um, how many of us have read reviews from a business owner writing the client back? I think I just saw it last week. I was mortified at what the business
Oh, I
owner
know.
was saying
It's
back.
Oh,
Like,
I know.
you're
No,
only
there.
allowed one sentence and it should be nice and thank you for the feedback or
Yes.
something like that. We do
Yes.
we as much as I air out my dirty laundry sometimes, we don't need to air it out in our review section.
No,
Um
no. And so there is a key to that. We do have another live coming up on how to deal with that. So which we'll go. Yeah, we do. I filled it in. Um, uh, where we'll go into detail on how to actually do that, because there's nothing worse. So there's a difference between correcting facts and becoming defensive. And the worst thing for your business is to become defensive as a business owner. It's a bad look. It's not good for your brand, and it doesn't help. How you handle negative comments can really help a new client decide that you're collaborative in your approach. When there's a problem, you do want to solve it. Everyone knows that you're going to have an off day, or maybe you didn't have your processes in place when that
or maybe
business
the client's
happened,
bad. Maybe
or
the
maybe
client's
the
bad.
client's bad, or just not a good fit. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that they're a terrible person. It just means that they're maybe not a good fit, or whatever happened,
I
or
have
you
a
had an
bad review.
employee that wasn't very good at the time.
I have a
Yeah,
bad review, and in all
yeah,
honesty,
so
if
do
you
I.
go and read that review, I'm I'm actually the guy's trying to extort me for his money
Oh,
back. It says I might change this later because he left that review and then said I don't like what you guys have been doing. Didn't give me a chance of anything and it was a one-off project and said I'll remove that review if you give me my money back. I said no.
oh,
And I said no because well, hopefully I don't get another bad review, but 30% of people who read reviews don't believe if you have all 5-star reviews. They don't believe they're real.
that's true.
So I got a
That is true.
4.9. So it was actually, and in his review, he mentioned keywords. So I'm like, kind of winning. Although when you look at there's a graph you can look at, and literally my negative review, there's a huge dip, and then it
Yeah.
goes back. So we
Yeah,
need to avoid
exactly.
this.
And yeah, we're all people, and we're not going to be able to please everyone all the time. And that doesn't mean that there's anything terribly wrong with us. And there doesn't mean that there's anything terribly wrong with the person. And there are also fake reviews. I've had to deal with clients where they get reviews from people who actually aren't clients. We even had one on someone's account that I had to look into, where they're reviewing food in Vancouver, and I forgot what the business was, but it had nothing to do with food. So and it is hard to get them pulled down, although we have had some pulled down
You
successfully. It's
we've
very
had
hard.
as soon as you if the review mentions competition,
Yeah,
you can get
I
it
know
pulled
who it
down.
was. It was Nikki. It was Nikki. That's
Yeah.
right. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, so Nikki is the one that had the bad food review. That was so weird.
Did they
I
take it
don't
down?
even know why. No, Google refused to take it down, and I don't know why. So
I
I've
would go
reported it
fight
a
for
few
that
times.
again. Yeah.
Pardon?
I would go
I've
fight
done it.
again.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times. Usually, what I do is I leave it for 6 months and then try again. And it really depends on who's doing the review of your flag. So it can be I know, it stays. I know. Oh,
This is
Nikki's
good.
also tried to remove it. It's been attempted to be removed 6 times. So it's not a perfect system, obviously, right? But sometimes the way that you respond to that review can be super helpful, and alert people who are reviewing your reviews that it's not really a real review. So
The
therefore,
other
they
thing,
can make
yeah,
a decision on everyone else's reviews. Yeah.
it's an automated system as well, so it's not necessarily a person reviewing it. Because I have two reviews specifically that I know about where people have written me reviews
Mhm.
and they don't show up on my Google My Business because they've been flagged for some reason. So I actually went yesterday. I'm trying to get them reinstated because I've seen the two
Yeah.
reviews. I can name the people so they can look up their profiles, see the reviews, and like give them back, man.
Yes. So sometimes that happens when employees leave a good review or a bad review of their employer. So that's not an appropriate place to leave that kind of review.
True.
So Google will take those down. I had that happen recently. There are some other case scenarios, and it is actually reviewed by a person eventually, because I have had an entire conversation by email with somebody over a recent review, and it's not very helpful, because they kept sending me back to the place to to complain about the review, and I asked them, and all they do is refer you to the community standards, which is not helpful because I've read the community standards by that point, obviously, and I'm asking them which community standard, and they're not answering me. They just keep sending me back, so it can be a really frustrating process. So my biggest piece of advice is not to get too bent out of shape over these things. Just overall, you want a fairly good review system in place. You want to make sure that your clients that are happy with you are also leaving reviews, and how you respond to the reviews are more important than whether or not you have a bad review.
Yeah.
So that's the basics.
This is
And respond to all of them. So especially when you get good reviews, respond to all of those, because your personality and your brand voice can really shine in that, and be really appealing to people who haven't already experienced.
reviews
Okay, we got a couple
are
more questions.
really good example of the business, to be honest. Like when you read restaurant reviews, you
Yeah,
know, if they say, if a lot of them say service is bad, food is
yeah,
good, usually the service is bad and the food is good.
yeah.
My
It's true.
review says we
So
charge up front. We do.
so Yeah. So we've got a question here of whether the reviews are the most important, or do the posts matter too? The posts definitely do matter. That's
They're
what I was saying at the
more
beginning of
important.
this.
Oh,
Pardon? But
reviews.
reviews are, yes, reviews are more important, but the posts do matter.
Yeah.
They can really affect the traffic to your site, as I was saying in my earlier example. But reviews are definitely number one
You
thing
got
that
to do
I,
both. You do,
yeah,
because so reviews are like it is up to the business owner to have a strategy, a plan in place
yeah,
to get reviews. Now you can answer the reviews for them. You can monitor their Google My Business. You can let them know if there's a bad review and you can be the expert. But
yes,
so user generated content, that's what reviews are. What you want to do in the reviews is get the business that's reviewing you, or the person, to mention the services, to mention
yes,
the area, because it's user generated content, which is better. So also the questions. Ask a question. It says right
yes,
there. Start asking businesses question, and actually when somebody answers the question, because they usually want other users, it'll bring up the reviews that the business has if the keywords are mentioned.
oh,
It's
I did not know
brilliant. Yeah. So there's
that.
something going on there.
All right, so we should probably move on to the rest of it because we've got about 6 minutes left.
Ask a question. Yes. So I don't know if I can show you. Hold on. Um let's try this because we have 6 minutes. Basically, use Google Business Profile. Um if we go here, okay, yeah. Let me see. Can I do this? Okay, this might turn
There's
out
me.
horribly.
There we
Okay.
go.
So, oh, look at that. I'll just move us. Hold on. This is awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're looking over, let me get rid of this. If you're looking over here, so I typed in my business name. So type in your business name. You can actually type in my business as well. But see, if you go below the categories, there's questions. And you can just click on ask a question.
And oh, I see. It's just not
And if
scrolling.
I ask SEO question, yeah. So look at that. It brings up,
Oh,
if
that's
we're
so cool. I didn't
right,
know
it
that.
brings up something with SEO in it. It could bring up my posts. So then you definitely tell Google that's helpful. And there you
Okay.
have it. Wait,
So, sorry, I can't see where ask a question actually is. Can you scroll
okay,
to that spot? It's not showing up. Yeah.
right here.
Great. Okay, cool. And then can you just scroll up? So, just up, scroll up a little bit. No, the other direction. Sorry.
Down.
So stop there. No, wait a second. I want to show where the posts go.
Oh, the posts
For the
go
products. Yeah.
right here.
Right. So this is what I was talking about in terms of taking up digital digital real estate. This is where your posts show. So you can see that when if somebody's going to search a keyword and your business is going to come up, all of a sudden your blog posts come up and it can just like
And
get you some
go
good traffic.
right into, so then you click on it and you can,
Yeah.
if there's a link, there'll be a link here, right? Then you can go right into, look, oh, the business.
Yeah.
So it's a handy dandy tool, and who doesn't love sharing screens?
Well, it's funny. I didn't realize that was so easy. So maybe we'll be doing that on some of our other lives coming up because honestly, sometimes I think that pointing to something and circling something and showing something is so much easier. Am I right?
It is,
Can I
well,
get
it is helpful, right, to explain where
that?
the questions are and what they are. Because actually,
Yeah.
Google doesn't necessarily want the business owner to answer the questions; they want other users to answer the questions.
Right. So what happens? Can you organize a partnership with somebody else on Google and have them answer your questions?
Well, that's interesting that you say
Like,
that.
is that a are we
What is
gaming the system
there again?
when we do
So okay, with SEO, one of the things that does happen is you have to do this thing called NAP, name, address, phone number around the web. You generally might have to create an email that's a Gmail for the business for their marketing channels or what have you. So
right.
maybe you could use that, and maybe that has your logo in it. Maybe, you know, um, it's
Who's laughing at me? Who is that? I'm gonna come in and find your
is that
comment afterwards.
gaming Google? I bet you. So I should say Oris here as well.
Hi, Aura.
And Oris, the reviews, the most important thing, yes. But if you look on Google, I don't know if you're seeing it now, but on my Google business profile, I have something called Yelply or something, and it's combining my Facebook and Google reviews. I don't know why it's ranking in there, but because that's weird, but it's there. So it was like, it makes me look better. I'm like 47 reviews on Yabby. Great. So,
Great.
uh, so I think the whole thing is to use it, and if you're not using it, look and see if your competition's using it, and
Yeah.
because you might want to like start using it.
Yeah, this makes a big difference, especially if you're worried about local SEO. And for example, the clinic that I was talking about earlier, it was pretty obvious that in this area in the United States, not very many clinics are using this Google profile, and we started doing it for this clinic, and the results were remarkable,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, you
Yeah.
do. So if you are a therapist, like with credentials, thing is you have check with your organization, the main body, kind of like how chiropractors have a main body that they refer to. Um, Refer to that if you're like a psychologist, because there are rules about answering reviews.
Oh, totally. Yes, there are. Yes, yes, and it's different in the United States than it is in Canada. So it's actually you need to check with your college is what it is, and yeah, you have restrictions. So in Canada, you definitely cannot use reviews for marketing purposes, but you can answer them in a very generic way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which is really interesting. So there's a lot to do and be had on Google My Business. It's one of our main strategies. We're actually working on mapping a website using Google My Business to the pages in the site.
Right. Yes, tell us. Do you have a? Can you tell us that in a minute?
Yeah, I probably can. So you're already doing it. So you create a blog post, right? You write the
Mhm.
blog post, create a Google My Business post to the blog post. Your products are your services, right?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
kind of how you would map it. Um, So yeah, we're just building it out so that it's a really easy way for somebody to jump into the middle of your website without having to go to your website.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's super
That's
fun.
great. All right. So what do we got happening next week, Pip? You have yours. I know I'm putting you on the spot
Oh,
because
I
I don't
already know. I know. We're doing setting up. Ooh, setting up Google Analytics and Tag Manager for client first approach. Oh, that's just sexy. Such a geek. I'm such a geek.
I love that you say things like that.
Ah,
So, for those of you who are watching us elsewhere, we actually live in the cyberpunk
geek.
marketing geek cyberpunk. How is it
Geek
again?
marketing mixer.
Marketing
Woohoo.
Mixer in Facebook. So come find us there if you'd like to see these weekly. Otherwise, they also get posted out on a couple of different YouTube channels and Facebook pages, and the replays get sent there. So
Right.
join us this week at 11 o'clock, and every Thursday at 11 o'clock.
Pacific. And
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
join the group because it's fun and it's for business owners and people who love marketing. Business owners who love marketing and marketers who love marketing. And we're gonna go. We're rambling now. Bye.